Hi and welcome to this part of the Git tutorials, and in this part we're going to get started with our new repository. So first of all, the first step that we need to take is to check if Git is installed. So let's run git -- version, and if it is correctly installed, then we'll see Git version. So if you haven't got installed it, then you need to search through the Google in order to see how to install it on your operating system. So the first step after checking the version is to configure your username and email here. So you can run git config, and then you can add the global 2 in order to make it for all of your repositories. If you want it to be only for your own local repository, then you can remove global from your command. So then we will have user.name, and then we can write our username inside of the quotation mark. So there we go. And then we'll continue with our email, git config global. Again, if you want it for all of your repositories, user.email, and then you can write your own email here. So let me write it very quick, and then I will continue. So I needed to run it again. So there we go, we've added the email too. So now we'll need to create a new directory in order to get into our directory and create our repository in there. This is the folder of our repository. So I'm going to call this new project for our new project, new project. So cd2 new project, and then here we can run git init in order to initialize our project. And now we need to add our own file. We can do it either manually or using code. Because I'm here on Linux, I can run sudo nano. So because I want to add the file index.html, so here I write index.html in order to create this file, and later if I want to edit this, I can use the very same command. So let me enter my password. So as you can see, we have this page opened up. I can paste in my code, and as you can see, it has a title Hello World, and it has also got the heading Hello World as well. And then this is my first repository in Git. This is a very simple HTML file. So if you want to save this, you can press Ctrl O and then enter. And then by pressing Ctrl X, you will exit from that page. So if I run ls, and you can see I've got index.html inside of my directory. So the next step is to run git status in order to check the status of our repository. As you can see, we've got one file that has not been added to our repository, and we haven't committed it either. So all we need to do first is to git add index.html, which is the only file that has not been added. So we can run git status one more time, git status. And as you can see, it has been added but not committed. So we're going to get to that, but before doing that, we should also add another file to every repository that we make, and that is creating a readme file which has the m.md format, and we can add this either manually or using sudo nano. And then here I can write the name of readme .md, and here the first thing you need to do in order to write your readme file is to run hashtag and then write the name of your project. Because this is a Hello World project, I'm gonna run this write Hello World, and then you can go to the next line. This is the heading of your project. So the way you write your readme.md file is by first of all, the heading of your file is with the hashtag in order to make it bigger. So here I'm gonna write this is a simple example of creating a repository, and we are writing it as a readme file, readme.md file. So let's save this by pressing Ctrl O, enter, and then Ctrl X in order to exit. You can run ls again. As you can see, we've got readme.md added here as well. And then we can run git status. As you can see, we haven't added the readme.md, but we have added the index.html. So the next thing we're gonna do is to git add, or you can run git add --all if you have other files too, but here, because we have only this file, we can run readme.md as well. .md, and here we go. So right now we can run git status one more time in order to make sure that has been added, and as you can see, both of these files have been added here. So now I've added another page to my terminal so that you can better see what's going on right here. So I'm going to add some other files also. I'm going to actually add one file, which is style.css, and here let me enter my password again. So here I'm going to add my style, which is a very simple one just for adding a file. Then I'm going to save this by pressing Ctrl O, enter, and then Ctrl X. As you can see, we've right over here. Let's run ls. As you can see, we've got 3 files, and let's run git status in order to see which one of them has been added to our repository. So style.css has not been added. Also, we want to actually edit the index.html in order to add the line related to our style sheet. So here I'm gonna add link and then rel equals to style sheet. So a style sheet, and then what I also need to close this one, and then href. So here we're going to give the address of our file, and then style.css, and then I'm gonna close this one. So let's press Ctrl O and enter, and then Ctrl X in order to exit. And then because we have changed one file and also added another file, instead of adding each one of them separately, you can run git add and --all in order to add them all, and then you can run git status, and as you can see, all of them have been added. So perfect. Up to now we've managed to add all of this to our repository. So now imagine that up to now we want to save our project and keep it as a version so that later we can revert it back or get back to this if we have any bugs later on. So up to now, because the project has been successful, then actually it hasn't been successful, we're going to check that, but imagine that we've checked it and it's been fine. So by the way, let's check it and see if it's fine. So I'm gonna get into the tutorial, get into the file. So here let's open up the index.html, and as you can see, it says this is my first repository. So imagine that we have this problem right over here, but we want to save it, because the problem here is that we cannot see hello world. As you can see, if we click on it, we can see it, but because it has the same color as the background, then we're gonna have this. So imagine that we're gonna keep this one, and then let me get back to the terminal, and we want to save this. So commit command is for saving our project. So we can run git commit, and then I'm gonna run -m. So afterwards you can write the name of your commit. So I can most of the time we write first commit, but here I'm gonna write first commit of hello world. It's totally up to you what kind of name you put on it. So that's it. As you can see, it has been saved inside of this repository, and then we can keep this version of our tutorial, of our yes, hello world tutorial. So now imagine that we want to make a change to our file. So sudo nano index.html, and here inside of our okay, this one is okay, but imagine that we want to add another line too. For example, this is a new line, and then let me close the tag here. There we go. So let's press Ctrl O to save this and Ctrl X to get out. If you do it manually on your text file or your code editor, you need to press Ctrl S. So right now I'm going to also sudo nano the. So by the way, I am going to repeat this because some of you might be a little bit confused. We don't use sudo nano in some of the operating systems, so we can simply open up the file and change this. For example, I can open up the file with the code editor or text file. So I do it simply with the text editor right over here, and then I can add the changes. So let me make it a bit bigger. So as you can see here, I can change whatever I want inside of this editor, or press Ctrl Save, and then I can just close it this way. So let me get back to what we were inside of the terminal. Sudo nano and style.css. So you can do this manually by yourself. And here, for example, I change this to blue. And then press Ctrl O, enter, and Ctrl X. So now let's run git status, and then as you can see, we've modified 2 of the files. And here I'm gonna run git add all, and then run git status one more time. Status, and as you can see, the modifications have been added to our repository, and then we can run git commit. So either you can use git add, or you can also run git -a-m, and this is going to do the same. So here, because I have added this, I can run -m, and then I can commit this and change this updated commit of hello world, and then run this. As you can see, it has been saved right over here, and you have a new commit, right? This is the updated commit of hello world. Also, just as I've said earlier, you can instead of writing git add all, you can run git commit -m -a and then -m, and then write the name of your updated version. So because I've just committed it, I'm not going to do it again, but notice that this is another way. So now we can change, we can check the history of our repository by running git log, and as you can see, we have 2 commitments, right? We have the commit number 1 with this ID, and then we have the date of changing, and also all the details related to our email, and so on. This is the updated commit, and this is the first commit. So that's it for this part of the tutorial, and in the next ones we're going to also see what other options we have inside of a Git, and also how we can add the branches as well, and then we will switch to GitHub. So until the next video, goodbye.